Hello everyone, and welcome to another reading of Bedtime Stories for Grown-Ups with me, Carol Swords. Now, as I've asked you before, and as I think some of you may have forgotten, please put your phone onto charge now. And if you have a separate alarm clock, please set it for the time that you need to get up. Also, I'm not quite certain, I can't see all of you, but I don't think some of you are ready to go to bed. I don't think you've gotten into your pajamas. So if you wouldn't mind, would you do that now? Now don't worry, I'm going to cover my eyes. This isn't any sort of perverted sort of thing. So don't worry, and I won't be doing any of this. It's going to be this. So if you wouldn't mind, please getting ready for bed now. Because otherwise, you're not going to be ready for bed. You'll get the bedtime story, and then you'll have to change, and you might feel, like awake again. And we're trying to get you to sleep. So please put on your pajamas now. Okay, so I'm taking it that you've done that now. Okay, very good. Right, so let's get on with it. This story is called The Lady Who Had a Day Off. Once upon a time, in a bedroom far, far away, a young woman named Ellie was engrossed in a story she didn't remember starting. When did she get into bed? Had she ever been out of bed? Yes, of course she had been out of bed. How could she afford her apartment? She worked 6 days a week for a goddamn ogre. Today was her day off, and she was going to spend it reading. She had turned off her answering machine and disconnected the phone so that the ogre couldn't use one of his overtime spells and take away her sanity, make her come into work. She also switched off her mobile so he couldn't recite incantations that might make her lose perspective and fall into another vicious cycle of covering shifts. Shifts that ought to be filled by the hiring of a new employee. The hallway lights had been turned off as well, so that the ogre's minion Simon wouldn't think he could ring at the door and try convince her to join him for another 7 days in a row. Simon thought he could gain an eternal job if he did nothing but obey everything the ogre said. Little did Simon know, the ogre spoke badly of him on a near constant basis and had no intention of promoting him beyond his lowly position. The ogre would fire him at the drop of a spiky mace if anyone slightly more attractive entered the dungeon. Maybe, even on some level, Simon knew this. And this made Ellie pity him. But then she would remember how Simon tattled on a co-worker and got her hung, drawn and quartered because she had failed to file an invoice properly, which caused a payment to be delayed and thus lost the ogre the early bird discount that he was always so keen on getting. Yes, work was hellish. The last thing she wanted to do on her free day was think about it, so she pushed it out of her mind and got back to reading. The pages turned easily, and nearly an hour had gone by when she was interrupted by a scratching at the window. She knew it wasn't a good idea to go to the window. The ogre had probably sent one of his devil birds with a message around its neck requesting that she drop whatever she was doing and come in immediately. She cursed the ogre for his persistence, sighing that even if he spent half the energy he used on getting her into work on his actual business, then it wouldn't be teetering on the brink of closing down. The ogre was deluding himself if he thought the sole reason that his business was unraveling was because he had lost his 5% early bird discount on €250 worth of company stationery and bird feed. Besides availing of discounts, a business needs to be able to shift its stock so that it can keep its warehouse fees down and stay relevant in an ever-changing sales environment. Of course, being an ogre, her boss was stubborn, unable to take advice without getting defensive, and tied to sales techniques that did nothing, absolutely nothing, to foster good long-term customer relations. Because whether he believed it or not, the law of 80-20 applied. Ellie's head was beginning to spin. She needed to stop thinking about work. But everything was frustrating her, and it was clawing its way into her mind. If she really wanted to make something of this day, though, she would have to put more distance between herself and work. She couldn't just stop at shutting herself away from her boss and Simon the Minion. She needed a new workplace environment where she would grow and attain more skills, not a workplace environment that constantly choked her with toxic co-worker spats and soul-destroying, possibly illegal, no sick day policies. Ellie made up her mind that she was going to use her day off to find new employment, to put herself out there, to go boldly to a place her co-workers could only imagine. A job interview. She set about updating her CV, and after she had found a number of open vacancies, she made a cover letter that could be used multiple times with only minimal changes to the body of the text. She didn't need that damn dungeon. She was able to be effective and efficient, and in fact, it came effortlessly to her. The ogre had piled so much work on top of her that she had forgotten what she was capable of when she put her mind to it. She felt energized. Something she hadn't felt for a long time. She felt as if her powers were being restored instead of chipped away. She had lost part of herself every time she walked into that dungeon on a Monday morning. But she wouldn't let it get her down any longer. The chapter in her life full of backstabbing, ogre tantrums, missed sales opportunities, and undrinkable coffee was coming to an end. What had looked like it might become her entire life story was now only a chapter. Nay, a footnote. A mere one-liner in an otherwise glorious tale of one lady's triumph in a competitive, male-dominated, commission-driven sales world. In a few years' time, having made a name for herself in the industry, she'd be signing autographs of her much-touted, revolutionary book on the art of selling, when Simon and the ogre would come in and ask her to sign their shared copy. She would sign it and wish them a pleasant day, pretending she didn't remember them. They would protest, try and jog her memory, but then they'd be escorted outside for making trouble and holding up the queue. After the signing, she'd be ferried away to a ceremony where she'd be the youngest person to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award for her services to sales and marketing. It was with these happy thoughts playing out in her mind that she fell asleep, and when she woke up in the morning, she found several emails from prospective employers waiting to greet her. She had several interviews lined up for the coming week, and for the first time in a long time, Monday seemed full of wonderful possibilities. The rest of the week was looking that way too. Things were on the up, and that's the way they stayed, and so she lived happily ever after. The end. Good night. Now go to bed. Beautiful.